All right. So, welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Bridges to Change Facebook Live Wednesday evening. I appreciate you stopping by. Hope that everyone had a chance to enjoy this beautiful weather day. My name is Alison Vu. I am a social worker. I work with Bridges Agency. So, tonight I want to talk to you about a favorite topic of mine, something I do every day in my line of work, and also something that's been a curiosity to me personally is, so you want to change what? So one thing I want to keep everybody aware of tonight is that I am on Zoom and you guys are on, I think on the page. I hope that I have this pulled up correctly. But I'm not seeing it come up here, Caitlin. I hope I'm on the right thing. But at any rate, if you have questions, just post them onto the page. I will be able to see your questions. I might not be able to hear you right away because there's about a 10-second delay. So let's get started. So change. So I think we all know in friend conversations in our professional lives, pretty much everywhere we go, it seems like most people are trying to make some type of change in their life. Could be weight loss, it could be exercise more, it could be reduce stress, stop smoking, get better sleep, a myriad of things that people are trying to change, have a better attitude. I think our culture, in fact, has an obsession with change. I mean, we even devote an entire day every year just on the topic. But it seems that when you start to talk to people, when I can reflect on my own personal life, there's a big gap between often what I'm trying to accomplish and what I'm actually doing. And it seems like the messages that we all get, or that even I get, is that maybe I'm doing something wrong, right? That it's my fault, or something that I'm not doing right. And so a couple years ago, when I started to get into this and this line of work, and I started thinking about this topic, it poked my curiosity enough that I started researching it. And I actually came across this awesome book. I hope you can see it. It's by BJ Fogg, and it's called Tiny Habits, the Small Changes That Change Everything. So I'm going to kind of go up and down here to make sure you can see it. But what really caught my attention, there's a lot of books out there about how to change behavior and meet your goals. But what really struck me about this one, and the reason that I like it so much, is that it's not based on myths or commonly held knowledge about it, or not commonly held knowledge, things that we talk about in our friend groups, or we just hear people talking about. He actually went out and said, okay, like how do we actually do this? What do we know about human behavior, and how can I actually start practicing this in my own life, and then go study it in people? And so he came up with this book. And what I want to share with you tonight is his really super simple, and this is what I love about this so much, prescription really for creating lasting change, and why often we get so tripped up when we're trying to do something. So first, he really emphasizes that we stay in the right mindset. And so mindset's really important when we think about approaching any of this in our life. So he has really 4 principles that I have taken away from the book, that are really, really important, that we need to think about before we even start making a change. So one is habits. So those little things we do every single day, from the minute we wake up to the minute we go to bed, matter. Hence the title, Tiny Habits. The more good ones we have, the less bad ones we have, is as it relates to what we're trying to achieve, probably the more successful we're going to be. The second one is to stop judging yourself. So self-criticism is a habit in itself. And so paying attention really to the things that go through our mind all day long, and especially when it comes to something we're trying to change, and take a moment just to tune in. Say, what am I saying to myself? Is it filled with kind of that negative talk that we often hear from society about, if you didn't do it, you just didn't have enough willpower, or it's your fault that you can't do that, or, that kind of thing? Or is it, self-compassion talk? You tried, we can do it again tomorrow. Third is take your aspirations, whatever you're trying to achieve, and break them down into itty bitty, really, really small, tiny behaviors. And we're going to talk about that more in a little bit. And then lastly, embrace your mistakes. So instead of, again, talking really bad to yourself or shaming yourself, embrace your mistakes. Mistakes are how we learn. So use them as fuel to think about, okay, what happened in that moment and what can I do differently going forward? The beauty of what I like about his, the way that he approached this and what he's learned through his research is that this doesn't rely on willpower. It doesn't rely on setting up accountability measures. It doesn't rely on promising yourself rewards. There's no magic number of days. Many of us have heard that it takes 21 days to build a habit. And it's researched. So he spent a lot of time testing this out in his own life with clients. There's coaches now. And so it's really something that he has explored, right? And how humans work. So the really most important thing though, and the principle that he really wants to hone in is that if you want to create lasting change, you really have to start really, really small. So why small? Why does that matter? So there's a couple reasons. Tiny is quick. We can get really, really good results, right? And start to feel better about something we're trying to do if we start really, really small, because we have a lot higher chance of being successful. Secondly, tiny is safe. So it feels really overwhelming maybe to commit to, $100 gym membership every month, but it's a lot more safe, right? And less risky, right? Maybe financially, to just start doing 2 push-ups a day. Also, you can start it now. You don't have to wait for something else to happen. You don't have to wait until you're ready to do the big thing. You can start tomorrow. Because really the idea is that when you start feeling better, you start doing more. That feeling better begets doing more things that are going to get you closer to where you want to be. All right. So that being said, I'm not seeing any questions pop up here on the page. Let me see, kind of check in to see if I'm not missing anything. Let me double check. I don't see it. Okay. So just double check in, see if you guys are out there. So how do you do this? How do we go about doing this? And so really there's 3 things, the ABCs of creating a new behavior. So this is his prescription for how to create tiny habits, or how to create lasting change. So the A, anchor moment. So the anchor moment is something that you do every single day in your routine already. So let's say waking up. Okay. Waking up could be an anchor routine. It's something that you're already doing. It's already part of your day. So you're not having to create extra time in your day to start doing something different. The second one is the new behavior, the B. So we got A and the B is the new behavior. So what are we trying to do? So let's say you're trying to get more physical activity into your day. So the important thing about the B is that starting really, really small version of what you're trying to get. So, okay, I want to get in shape. It's a goal that people say a lot. So maybe you start with 2 push-ups, after you wake up in the morning. That could be an example of a really, really small version of the habit that you want to do. Let's say you're trying to stop smoking. An example of, a way that you could do a smaller version of the habit that you're wanting to achieve is not smoking, is say, okay, today I'm not going to smoke after my meals. It's another example. So the new behavior has to be done right after your anchor moment. So right after the thing that you already do every day. So in the first example, it's getting up. In the second example, it's eat, for most people. And then the third is the C, and this is the celebration. And this is the fun part, because the celebration is something that you do immediately after you do your new tiny habit. And it's something that you do to cement it into your brain as something positive that you're doing to fulfill yourself. So you wake up in the morning, you put your feet on the ground, you do 2 push-ups, and then you immediately say, I did it. And you smile, right? You smile as big as you can smile. And that's immediately cementing that into your mind and training your brain to see that as something positive for yourself. So again, that feeling better begets doing more things. So that's the ABCs. So that's really that's it. There's a lot more to his theory. There's a lot more to his research. There's a lot more as to why this is effective and why this works, that I'm not going to get into here today. But again, what I love about this is that it's so simple. Let me see if I got any things on here before I keep yapping away. I don't think. Okay. All right. So how do we start? How do we start practicing this new behavior? What's the best way? I think the best way is just to practice. So I'm going to go through a couple of his favorite sort of exercises, the starter things that he suggests is a really, really great way to start could manifest in your life with whatever you're trying to change. All right. So example, his most famous one is the Maui habit. So this is a small, simple thing that you can do every day. If, say, your goal was to start cultivating a more positive attitude or having a more positive outlook. All right. So anchor moment. After I wake up in the morning and put my feet on the floor, which is something that, or I stand up if you're on the floor, whatever, right after you wake up in the morning, whatever you do to get up to leave, you say to yourself, it's going to be a great day. So that's your new behavior, right? Trying to cultivate a sense of positive energy into your day. And then you smile immediately. Big, big smile. It's going to be a great day. And that's wiring it into your brain again that's going to happen, right? So trying to channel that energy into whatever you do in your day, that it's going to be a great day. All right. So that's one. Another one of his exercising ones that I love is his flossing habit. And it's funny that he uses this one because you may not know that flossing is one of those habits that, although I think we all know on some level, and if we've ever been to the dentist, or if that's something that we do, that, or even if someone in your life has told you to floss, 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 right? So that's something that most of us know that we're supposed to be doing. Surprisingly, it's a habit that admittedly, when surveyed, a large percentage of the population does not do on a regular basis. So I thought this would be an interesting one. It's not an automatic for people. So the way that this would work with the ABC, the anchor behavior, the new behavior, and the celebration would be after I brush my teeth. So that's the anchor moment that hopefully we are all doing at some point in the day. I will floss one tooth. All right. So just one tooth. So just taking a little piece of floss off and just doing one tooth. And then to wire that into their brain, I'm going to look at myself in the mirror and say, good job, big smile. And that's the celebration, right? So how would we get to that point? So that sounds really easy in theory, but what are some of the things that we might need to think about if we're going to start doing this? Type of floss. So, making sure that you have access to it, figuring out how to get it, what kind you like, putting the floss near your counter, right? So these are some things you can do before you start practicing this new behavior to help make it easier for you. So if you know that it's right there, right by your toothbrush, you're going to be a lot more likely to reach for it to start your new habit than you would be if it is in a drawer behind something underneath, which is where I admittedly keep my floss. So again, setting yourself up for success. And then each day that you're doing this, continually doing one more and one more and one more. And if you go above and beyond and decide, hey, I got this, and on day 3 or 4, you're doing your whole thing, great. And then once you start doing it, that's how it becomes habit. It becomes part of your routine. Your floss is next to your toothbrush. It's something that you're doing every day. So how does this relate to my life personally? So I can share before we wrap up here today, something I've done to help change my behavior. So one of the things that I know for me is a big stress reducer is exercise. So just how I'm wired, it has always been. And so I know that when I don't get exercise, I don't feel very well. Um, I had 3 children in about a 3 or 4 year span of time over the last, well, it's been 4.5 years now. And so for a long time, I was really, really struggling to how to get back to the exercise routine that I was in prior to having them. And I really beat myself up a lot. I was having a lot of talk in my mind about my weight or just my physical ability, feeling weak. And I was really just finding that it was something that was really consuming a lot of my headspace in a really negative way. It was spilling over into nourishment and judgments to myself about what I was eating, all kinds of things. And so, what I decided to do is instead of trying to get back to where I was prior to having children, and that was, running half marathons and doing a lot of strenuous exercise, I decided one day, you know what? I'm going to when I decide that right before I'm about to have dinner, or right before where I'm about to start making dinner, I'm going to put my phone or like some kind of device up in front of my kids, and say, okay, you're going to watch some type of video for 20 minutes, and I'm just going to spend 20 minutes moving my body. And that's it. So something I know I have to do every day is start to prepare dinner. So that was my anchor moment. I know that that's going to happen in my day. I knew about when that was going to happen. I also knew that how long about it took me to prep dinner. I do meal prep, so I knew it was going to take me about 30 minutes, and I knew how long my kids were going to be able to wait. So it was already something in my routine. So I just right when I was thinking it's time to start to prepare dinner, which is something that happens around the same time every day, instead of distracting myself with cleaning or doing whatever, I did it. And the way I was able to set myself up for success is I made sure that I was streaming the YouTube exercise things, whatever movement I decided to do, and it was random at the start, on the thing, like the device that we had in the kitchen. So I didn't sign up for anything. I didn't use anything. I used a free service that we already were paying for through our internet. And it was already there. So I didn't have to go look for anything. The other thing that I made sure that I did is that I made sure that during my children are young. So during that nap transition time, that I got in my exercise clothes. So when I was getting them ready for bed, I got in a t-shirt, whatever I needed to wear, so that there was no, oh, I'm not dressed appropriately. I mean, I was usually, let's be honest, in some type of workout attire anyways. But I made sure that I had the right clothing on. The device was always in the kitchen. So, and then right when I had that thought, that was my anchor moment. Okay, 20 minutes. And so the new behavior was 20 minutes, and I didn't have just move your body. And so that was really it. Sometimes it was just running in place if it was a really bad day. Sometimes it was doing some weird version of like jumping jacks. Sometimes it was throwing my kids and playing, you know what I mean? Like lifting them up and playing stuff with them. It wasn't always a video, but the only small thing I asked of myself is that I was moving my body in that 20 minutes. And then my celebration was I would do right before we would sit down, actually right after I was done doing it. I would what would I do? I would write it down. It's my habit's new now. But I would write it down on the calendar, like something like really nice to myself, like great workout or nice job. So it was like writing it down for me, which was really cementing it in, like you did it, it's real, because my days got so busy, it was hard for me to even remember sometimes what was going on. So that's how I started, and that's evolved to be over time more specific and more geared towards certain parts of my body and much more closer back to where I was before. But it didn't start that way. So it started with just keeping the expectations that for 20 minutes, that's what I was going to be doing. And great if it was a 20-minute HIIT workout, but also okay if it was something that um, was just playing with my kids. So thank you for coming tonight. I don't see anybody asking any questions, so I'll leave a few seconds here to see if anybody would like to. I love talking about behavior change, so I appreciate you listening. And again, if you're interested in this or if this topic interests you, I really, really highly recommend the Tiny Habits, small changes that change everything. So you can get copies of this at the library. I also have a copy I can loan out. I think I have an extra copy, but yeah, that's it for today. And I'm done.